What's up, y'all? So fire season is upon us here in the Western United States. And if any of you remember last year, or really the last decade, it's been horrifying. But last year in particular was really, really bad. And it's only going to get worse as climate change amplifies all of the conditions that make fires more extreme. So extreme heat, extreme drought, um, extreme winds carrying fires around states. So this article from Grist is really interesting. They basically explain how pretty much for 80 years, inmates and prisoners have been used to fight fires. So basically, most of them are making a few pennies per hour. I think they get an extra dollar per hour when they're actively fighting a fire. So they make a few bucks a day, probably. I don't know, it's between $10 and $20 a day fighting fires. These are inmates. And just to remind people, I'm going to read this. This is a 2014 article from Take Part, small independent outlet. Afraid of losing prisoners who have become crucial in fights against rampant wildfires, attorneys from Attorney General Kamala Harris' office recently argued that a new early parole program for nonviolent offenders would chip into their cherished labor pool. In other words, Kamala, as Attorney General, fought vehemently to uphold prison labor laws and to make sure that prisoners could be used as free labor for the state of California. The state of California used over 1,000 firefighters, inmates, to fight fires last year during the summer. Oregon, I saw something, they used over 100 inmates to fight fires over the summer. So this is becoming a more and more common thing. Here's my take on this. First of all, I just wanted to point out that thing about Kamala Harris because we need to continue to talk about her record as a district attorney and prosecutor because it is horrible. And so she didn't engineer this system, but she helped propagate it more and basically bring it into its current state. That was kind of her big thing as district attorney, was making sure that prisoners could be used as free labor. So pretty much fighting for slave labor. Anyways, so I think that if you, I guess the opportunity should exist for prisoners and inmates to be allowed to go fight fires if they want to. You should give them the option. Be like, hey, if you want to do this, you can. That being said, if you're going to do that, those people need to be like, first of all, you should probably only be doing that with like nonviolent offenders. And anybody who goes out to fight a fire all summer and comes back, maybe you should just let that person out, right? Should they really still have to sit in prison after that, after helping defend the state from like extreme fires? On top of that, these guys should be paid like insane amounts of money. Like they should be getting firefighter salaries or better. So, but I don't know. I just think using prisoners as free labor is horrible. This is a testament to how slavery never really ended in the United States. It just kind of got rearranged, right? So after slavery ended, they instantly made 13th and 14th Amendment. And within the 13th Amendment, it literally says slavery is outlawed except for when it's a punishment for crime. So hold on a second. You can't have an except. I'm probably misquoting the exact language of the 13th Amendment. But there's no ifs, ands, or buts when you're outlawing slavery, right? And I think a lot of people understand this at this point. But I don't think we realize how relevant that still is. Like we rely on prison labor, free slave labor in a lot of ways still, not only to fight fires, but like most of the potatoes in Idaho are grown by prisoners. A lot of the brie cheese we eat made by prisoners. A lot of the cotton t-shirts we have are made by prisoners. So this is still a very, very prevalent issue for the United States. Fire season every year we're going to need more and more hands on deck, and we cannot be relying on slave labor to mend this issue. But based on our record, it's what we're going to keep doing. So we as a people have to stand up and say we're not okay with this, and advocate for these people. A lot of these guys are probably in prison for nonviolent drug offenses, and now they're out here on the front lines of incredibly dangerous natural disasters. um that doesn't sit right with me. That's horrible. That is clearly a product of a screwed up oligarchical system. And anyways, that's kind of all I want to say. I just wanted to continue this conversation about how this is happening. And yeah, I mean, really just trying to advocate for these people and underscore that, well, the Democrats are defending slave labor. So are they really the liberal party? Doesn't seem like it. You should probably vote third party if you're an actual progressive and a liberal. This whole lesser of two evils thing is a failed experiment that's been going for 40 years. And Biden and Kamala were not the antidote to Trump. They are continuing all of his policies. If you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. They are literally doing everything Trump was going to do. They're making tax cuts permanent. They're building the wall. They're continuing the wars. They're not giving us Medicare for all. And they're not legalizing weed. They're not giving us $15 minimum wage. The list goes on and on and on, people. I mean, it's just so please vote third party. Kamala Harris is not the answer, and she scares me.